Hello, it's Lucas at Strike the Sun MD. I'm here to talk about a book I've been reading to my girlfriend every night out loud, which has been great fun, in Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, which used to be one of my favorites. It is still a favorite story of mine. It's very sentimental, and I'm a sentimental kind of person. The tale itself is memorable for many reasons, of course, with the characters and the scenes and the images that you get from the different aspects of the story. There's a good reason it stands the test of time. Is it well written? Yeah, there's a few lines in there that are like good, and I feel like the overall theme of being good to your fellow man, it's a good message. But if you don't know anything about it, I'm surprised considering how ubiquitous it is. But A Christmas Carol is the tale of Ebenezer Scrooge, a lonely old miser that has done away with the charms of everyday life and of Christmas spirit, that finds himself haunted by the ghost of his former business partner, Jacob Marley, who was dead to begin with, as of 7 years prior to the story. Jacob Marley has lived a life similar to Scrooge in being a lonely old miser and caring for nothing but accruing wealth and acquiring gain, so to speak. And with that, he has wrought his own chains in iron purses and ledgers and so forth. And he warns Ebenezer Scrooge, the same fate is in store for you if you do not change your ways. After me, you will meet with 3 different ghosts. They turn out to be the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas yet to be. All 3 figures unique in their own way. The ghost of Christmas past, of course, sending Ebenezer Scrooge throughout his boyhood and into his becoming a young man. And we see a little bit of a journey, though I wish it was explored more, in how greed initially hooks him. We do not see, but we do see what we are to assume is the moment where he officially cuts off any emotional connection with others when the love of his life leaves him. Later, we see the ghost of Christmas present show him all the different ways men and women around the English-speaking world or around London are celebrating the Christmas spirit and the joy of having their families and being together. And we get a harrowing message about ignorance and want, the 2 children of mankind that must be dealt with in some way. Enter the ghost of Christmas yet to be, a quiet role that does not speak, but merely guides with his finger, or with the spirit guides with its finger Ebenezer Scrooge throughout London in a Christmas period that has yet to be. And the things that Ebenezer Scrooge shake him so thoroughly that, as you well know, given the ubiquitous nature of this tale, reach the inner core, the young man that he once was, and it comes out in full flow, so to speak, when he wakes up and finds it was all just a dream. And he decides to make amends for his past life and to carry on with Christmas and hold it the best way he can. I gave a lot of it away, but there are some bits that are really interesting, that are still worth I basically just told you the whole thing because I know it's so ubiquitous that I feel like You've probably seen one of the movies, maybe you've read it, given that there's so many adaptations of it, that I would be shocked if you have not watched A Christmas Carol in some format, whether it's with Jim Carrey or Patrick Stewart or Michael Caine or any of the other actors. There's a new one on FX. It's a mini-series, I think, with Guy Pearce. I have nothing against Guy Pearce or Andy Serkis, but that looks terrible. I will never watch that one. But yeah, sort of a synopsis and full overview of what the tale is really about. I think that it has a great moral message of being kind and better to your fellow man, which is sort of a through line for Charles Dickens himself and his work. From my experience, I haven't read everything by him, but from my experience, that seems to be the gist of things. What I do wish, again, yeah, there's some things that I think don't. It is a long-winded story, despite being very short, because of the way Charles Dickens writes. And especially if you're reading it out loud, it can be tiresome in that way, just to have all these passages that don't necessarily add up to much or describe things that were already described in a fair amount of words before, but then Dickens continues to go on. Those are my biggest complaints, and like I said before, I wish that there could be more exploration into how Ebenezer became the way he became. We see he had a lonely childhood, but not too unpleasant, it seems. I mean, he was a reader, and then when he was a young man getting into work for the first time, he had a very good role model of a businessman that he worked for, his employer, Mr. Fezziwig. And then the next thing we see is him with the woman that he loves that is leaving him because he's become so obsessed with money. But we don't see when that comes in or how it really entices him. We're just left to accept it. And then we kind of... It makes sense that, like, okay, the woman in his life leaves him, and she's right, and he knows it. So he cuts himself off and just focuses on the thing. And, you know, instead of taking the criticism and adapting, he just closes himself off and focuses only on the thing that he was being criticized for. I think that is a great moment, but it could be sort of empowered if there was something about... Maybe I just missed it. I don't think I did, but if there was just another scene from his youth that showed when the greed first overtook his personality. I personally think because it's so long-winded, it really works best as a movie. My favorite is the Muppet one because it's fun and lighthearted. But I love so many versions of it because I really love this tale. It's very sentimental and speaks to my heart, despite the fact that I feel a lot more jaded than the last time I read this story. The idea of a sort of principled capitalist learning to be kinder and more giving, it doesn't stick with me the way it used to. I think that there are ways to adapt it that for a modern audience. I have not seen the FX version, but just based on the trailer, it looks like a cynical cash grab with no love for the actual source material. But maybe I'm wrong. If you have watched it, let me know. It doesn't look good to me, but I digress. All the same, it is worth reading if you love Charles Dickens, if you love Christmas stories or tales of redemption. As long-winded as it can feel, it is short, and it's still a lot of fun. It has great characters and great scenes, and it's worth reading. It's very short, and it's touching in a way to see, as much as every Charles Dickens character is not really a character, they're just kind of impressions of people. I sort of, as much as I think it is a flaw in Charles' writing, I sort of fill in the blanks the best I can to imagine things that haven't happened, like the things I was talking about that I wish were shown, to sort of round out the people in my mind. And when I do that, and I look at Ebenezer Scrooge, and some of these other characters, especially Ebenezer because he's the focal point of the tale, I find that it's very heartwarming to see Ebenezer change. Although it is incredibly drastic, it doesn't, in that sense, it doesn't feel realistic for that reason as well. But yeah, I love it. I'm gonna stop talking about it, but it's worth your time, definitely. Maybe more so as a movie though, because then if you get the right one, it's to the point and you can really feel it and you can see it. Anyway, that's it. Thank you. Bye.